Hey guys, this is Sound Tech Geek. Today I'm going to do my show on podcasts. Alright, these are certain podcasts I recommend for certain people who like certain products. First one is the Windows podcast. Since most of my viewers are Windows users. Alright, Windows Weekly. Honestly, I love this podcast. I really don't know why. It's just one of my favorite podcasts for Windows. It helped me with the get Vista moving a bit faster by changing it into classic mode and all that stuff. Very, very, very nice podcast. Check it out. Alright, now to Linux. The Linux Action Show. Now, the only thing I don't like about this podcast is that one of the hosts seems a little elitist. Every time, there's a feature on Linux that isn't on Windows, he has to brag about it and call Apple and Microsoft evil. Yeah. Best Mac podcast is a tie between Mac Geek Gab and Mac OS X. Ken. Blah. Both are brilliant podcasts. One's just for news, though. If you want news, get Mac OS Ken, updated daily, except for on Saturdays. Well, it's on Saturdays, but you have to subscribe, which is like $6 a month or something like that. So, let's move on again. And let's go to overall gaming podcasts. This is a three-way tie in my mind. CAGcast, Sarcastic Gamer, 4 ways. Sarcastic Gamer, Massively Online Gaming, and Game Zone Radio. These are all excellent podcasts. I like every single one of them. I've had no problems with any of them. And I listen to them constantly. I just love these podcasts. They're just great sources of information. The hosts are awesome, especially the Sarcastic Gamer. Those guys crack me up. So, let's move on again. DS Podcast, DS Life. Honestly, this is the longest running podcast I've ever seen for a DS podcast. I haven't really looked for any after this because I love this one. It doesn't update too often, which is a shame. But I get most of them from my Nintendo podcasts. Anyway, speaking of Nintendo podcasts, let's go on. This is a two-way tie between Go Nintendo and the Weir, which is the Wire, but it's Weir because it's W-I-I-R-E. Both amazing podcasts. I like both of them. I am subscribed to both of them. I'm subscribed to every one of these podcasts I mentioned. Now, best foreign podcast, Cranky Gamers UK. Honestly, I've listened to a couple other foreign podcasts, but I can never get into them. Cranky Gamers UK, I actually am subscribed to this one, even though I'm not part of the UK. It's so interesting, fascinating. I love the podcasters. They're awesome. So, check it out. Best overall tech podcast. I haven't really found any. The only one I like is Chris Pirillo. They're really hard to come by. I really can't find that much, and a lot of them. There's a ton of them, but most of them are overrated. They're all X-Play, G4. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue on. What's the best Xbox 360 podcast? Major Nelson. What's the alternative I like? Achievement Junkie. Major Nelson is a very, very long show. I am warning you. One of his shows, a couple of weeks ago, was 3 hours and 9 minutes long. I'm not even making this up. Go look for yourself. Show number 260. Yeah, not kidding at all. Now, best PSP podcast. I like the PSP podcast. It's by the same guys who do It's by one of the guys who does DS Life. Excellent, but it doesn't update. He stopped doing it because just so many. There was a huge gap of PSP games. Nothing was coming out that he decided I'm not going to do the podcast anymore. So those are my suggestions for great podcasts. If you want to know some video ones, here's some video ones I like. The YouTube podcast. Well, it's not exactly. It's the best of YouTube podcast. That's another alternative I like. the weekly anime review. The weekly anime review podcast. Excellent one. Like it. I only like Web Alert because it's actually, even though it's made by G4, it's very informative, and I extremely like it. Massively Online Gamer, check that one out. Very awesome. And the MacCast Loop. If you're a Mac geek and you love long podcasts and the most Apple coverage you could ever basically find that's not, two guys that, the Mac Geek Gab is excellent, but this is more like a show and the Mac community podcast. So, if you like that, check it out. All the podcasts I mentioned are excellent. I'm subscribed to every single one of them. I check out every single episode. So, I recommend them to anyone. So, check them out. Later.